everyone. Welcome to our daily culture magazine here on I-24 News. I'm Oded Grober. Thank you so much for joining me. Today on our show, a master class with director Paul Haggis. Larry Clark's personal photographs for sale. And the remaining members of the Buena Vista Social Club bid fans farewell. But first, some of today's cultural headlines. Michael Bay's new film, Transformers: Age of Extinction, is getting horrible reviews by critics, but that doesn't stop it from being a box office hit, especially in China. Since its release 10 days ago, the film made nearly 1.4 billion yuan, roughly $220 million, putting it on course to becoming the highest grossing film ever in China. In comparison, the blue-skinned aliens of Avatar brought in 1.39 billion yuan over the film's entire theatrical run. Transformers' enormous success comes as no big surprise, however, due to the franchise's global box office pull, combined with the fact that a large part of the film was shot in Hong Kong. In the US, the film has made $175 million so far, bringing its total worldwide gross to nearly $600 million, which means we'll probably have to endure a few more sequels, so hold tight. In the past years, the music industry has suffered great turmoil, losing much of its revenue to online streaming and piracy. The music business has been looking for ideas on how to save itself, and now chart-topping musician Taylor Swift decided to weigh in. In an op-ed piece for the Wall Street Journal published Monday, Swift, who described herself as an enthusiastic optimist, outlines what she sees as the future of the industry, stating it is not dying, it's just coming alive. Swift believes that in order to become successful, artists have to engage their audiences and surprise them, bringing new things to the table with every new album and show. She says artists will need to foster a fan base on social networks before getting record label deals. Musician says that artists need to stop giving away their music for free, stating valuable things should be paid for. It's my opinion that music should not be free, and my prediction is that individual artists and their labels will someday decide what an album price point is. Personally, I'm not sure we can announce the music industry has been saved, but thanks for your thoughts, Taylor. The musical Cats by Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber will return to London's West End stages for the first time in 12 years with a few changes. The beloved musical based on T.S. Eliot's Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats will be staged at the London Palladium for 6 weeks starting December. Not content, however, with the return of the 33-year-old play to the London stage, Sir Lloyd Webber announced he is making some changes to the play, making Rum Tum Tugger into a rapping street cat. While the lyrics will stay the same, the delivery aims to speak to a younger generation. I suppose in a few years, the cats on stage will just text each other. Oscar-winning director Paul Haggis attended the Israeli premiere of his latest film, Third Person, last week. He also found the time to teach a master class to the next generation of Israeli filmmakers and to talk to our correspondent, Shachar Peled. Let's watch and learn.
It's not every day that young filmmakers and aspiring students get the chance to participate in a 3-hour session with one of Hollywood's record-breaking creators.
You have to test your characters.
Producer, director, and screenwriter Paul Haggis became the first person to write and produce back-to-back Best Picture winners in Oscar history. In 2004, it was his screenplay for Clint Eastwood's $1 Million Baby.
Crash!
In 2005, Crash, which he also directed, surprisingly turned the tables as he swept home the prestigious prize.
You don't make movies to get accolades, to get awards. You don't make movies, in fact, for everyone to like. You make them because you have to.
From the Oscars' peak, Haggis was on a roll, continuing to write, among others, 2 James Bond screenplays. Now in Israel to promote his latest film, Third Person, he goes back to dealing with several simultaneous plotlines and intertwining stories.
I love iconic characters, and because they do feel familiar, and so that then you can surprise people by having those characters who you think they're going to go one place actually end up going someplace else, and revealing parts of themselves that you never thought they'd reveal.
A partner to the birth of the film was no other than Israeli actress Moran Attias, who introduced Haggis to the original concept.
Maybe 5 years ago, it was just an idea in my head. It wasn't as layered, as elaborated. It was just questions, very profound, terrifying questions that led into his curiosity and developing just a glimpse of characters.
Alongside major Hollywood stars like Liam Neeson, James Franco, Adrian Brody and Mila Kunis, Attias, who is also credited as co-producer, secured a role as a troubled Roma.
Because she's a gypsy, a Roma, Albanian, she lives on the street, she can hustle, she can survive by using everything that she has exposed to herself, which is nothing. So it's just using herself.
But even with its impressive cast, the film remains an independent feature, too complex and intimate for the big studios.
They don't make dramas like this anymore. We didn't even take it to a studio to ask. No, we went out to get our... This is an independent film.
For years, the Canadian-American filmmaker has been a very vocal critic of his country and even blocked streets in protest of the US invasion to Iraq. As founder of the non-profit Artists for Peace and Justice, Haggis calls for all artists to be socially involved.
Artists have a responsibility to speak. I think that we need to take the lesson of Dr. Martin Luther King, speaking truth to power. Now, that's not up to me to speak the truth in your country. It's up to your artists who have a responsibility to do that.
As for Attias, the busy artist is now also conquering the small screen in a new FX original series, Tyrant. As far as she's concerned, giving voice to powerful, complex women is a mission in its own right.
What I would like to portray in this character is having a strong female voice that represents both political awareness, but a price she has to pay to be in that arena, married to the president of a troubled country.
Coming from such different worlds, it seems the Haggis-Attias collaboration is only the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
In Somalia, over 20 years of civil war have been very damaging, to say the least, to the cultural wealth of the country. But now, in light of the improving security situation, the country was able to organize a new festival of Somali culture. Sandy Fotis and Daniel Campos have more.
For the first time in decades, Somalia hosts the Festival of Somali Culture in Mogadishu, a vibrant celebration which seemed unlikely to happen just a few years ago when the extremists of Al-Shabaab controlled most of the capital and collectively punished the population by imposing a bizarre type of Islam which took away the basic freedoms of women, banned music, movies, and freedom of speech. And the West, when thinking about Somalia, scenes from gruesome films like Black Hawk Down and the recent Captain Phillips, starring Tom Hanks, are most likely to pop up in our minds. But these movies don't portray or mention the cultural revival of Somalia. In the past few years, Somalis have begun to reap the fruits of their brave struggle against the radicals. In 2012, Somalia hosted the first TEDx Mogadishu in history, an event for the empowerment of local ideas. And in the past few years, the music industry in Somalia has also had a revival. The number of local music studios and rappers is booming. Sports were once forbidden under Al-Shabaab rule, but can now be seen in the beaches of Mogadishu just like in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Women and men dancing together side by side, singing and smiling, certainly irritates the fundamentalists, but the attendees of the event are no longer afraid to celebrate their culture. The Somali Culture Music Festival brings dance, poetry, and comedy by artists from across the country. As part of the program, also broadcasts from the archives of Radio Mogadishu, evocative of the good old days of stability. For many years, the culture of Somalia was celebrated outside the borders of the country, but could not be celebrated back in home. But this year's festival, which had as guest of honor the Somali president, can be seen as a call of unity through culture.
I now call artists to work for the unity of the people with the government, use drama, music, poetry, and other cultural activities to unify the people.
To its lack of resources, the event was organized with the support of the United Nations, France, Germany, and the United States. The festival represents a victory for Somali culture and for its promising local talent. The country has already given major stars to the world, such as musician Kano.
Filmmaker and photographer Larry Clark made some noise last week as he held a sale of his photographs from his own personal archive. Clark sold the often racy and explicit photographs for a bargain price of £100, even though his works can easily fetch prices in the thousands. Amit Kling has the details.
Filmmaker and photographer Larry Clark always remained connected to his youth and the teenage experience. Not only by the subjects he covered, but also by his casting of street kids in his films, and now the approachable prices of his artwork.
I think perhaps Larry didn't know what to do with all these photos, and so he thought, why not give people who can't afford larger artworks the opportunity to buy a photo of his, like fans and just the regular skate kids and things like that, you know, kind of to take the pretentiousness out of collecting art.
Throughout the years, critical approach to Clark's work was divided between those who applauded his honesty and those who were disturbed by the nature of the imagery he favored. Clark, who first gained prominence as a photographer who candidly documented and recreated his own youth through an examination of teenage sexuality, crime, and drug use, was well into his 40s when he made a surprising switch towards film. His debut, Kids, transferred those fascinations to the screen, bringing Clark both critical acclaim and attracting controversy due to his unflinching gaze at taboo subjects and graphic display of teenagers engaged in sexual acts. All that attracted Clark a large audience of teenagers, often dealing themselves with the harsher sides of reality, but also ironically found his works being censored or limited for adult viewing only. Not only his films got rated R. In 2010, a photography retrospective displayed at the Paris City Hall was restricted for visitors above 18, a decision widely criticized by art media for denying teenagers who were the topic of the exhibition from seeing it themselves. Divisive as Clark's work may be, perhaps one should not hurry to pick a side in the debate. Fans who adore his work and therefore do not allow themselves to be shocked by it are quite possibly missing the point.
In a moment, we'll check up on the Buena Vista Social Club, but first, some cultural events from around the world.
Gallery Without Borders, specialized in Chicano, Latin American, and Caribbean art, exhibits works that are consciously connected to the social and political realities of the Hispanic community. Showcasing Chicano-based artwork from the collection of Professor Gilberto Cárdenas, the founder of Galerías Sin Fronteras, takes the exhibition to the National Museum of Mexican Art in Chicago, where the display will run until August the 17th. The Museo Thyssen-Bornemisza is presenting pop art myths. The exhibition offers a reassessment of this artistic trend from a 21st century viewpoint, featuring more than 100 works ranging from pioneering British pop art to the classic American version and its expansion into Europe. The display includes legendary images created by artists of the stature of Warhol, Liechtenstein, Hamilton, and many others. The exhibition runs until September the 14th. James Turrell Light Spaces is exhibited at Nathan Cummings Building for Modern and Contemporary Art at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. Turrell is one of the giants of contemporary art that has been exploring the ways in which light is seen and experienced, treating light as a material in his impressive and magical works. Based on the recent retrospective displayed at LACMA in honor of the artist's 70th birthday, the exhibition will take place until October the 18th.
And now Daniel Campos is joining me in the studio. Hi, Daniel.
Hello, Oded. How are you?
I'm doing great. You've come with some news.
I come with some adios, the
And
adios tour.
Yeah, farewells, but a fun farewell.
A fun farewell. We can say the Orquesta Buena Vista Social Club as it is known today, because the original, as we knew them from the film, we can say most of them have passed away. The legendary Compay Segundo, Ibrahim Ferrer also passed away, Manuel Galban. Today what we have left is Omara Portuondo, one of the greatest singers in Cuba. Okay. She's in her early 80s today. We still have Luis Manuel Guajiro Mirabal, who's in his early 80s. Eliades Ochoa, who's in his late 60s. The reason why they're doing this tour is there's many reasons behind it. Each one of them has a solo career as well. That may one, and the other one is maybe that people think it's time for them to stop paying tribute. You know, they go around playing the same classics we know from the film, the Wim Wenders award-winning movie Buena Vista Social Club,
which was a lovely film. So they're still doing this thing, and now they're saying this is the last time that we're going to do it?
As we know it, yeah. I think
for now.
I think it's nostalgic and beautiful.
Yeah.
We all know, anyway, the revival of the Buena Vista Social Club was a gathering of musicians in the early 40s in a club in Cuba, and they got them again together in the late 90s.
Well, there's if we want to see them, now's the time to do so.
You've said it, Odette.
All right. Thank you, Daniel, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you at home for joining us as well. I hope you enjoyed watching our show. You can find our past shows online, i24news.tv. You can also contact us on Facebook or Twitter. We'll be here again tomorrow. Please join us again.